Good evening, I'm Hugh Downs.
And I'm Barbara Walters, and this is a special royal edition of 2020.
On the ABC News Magazine, 2020, with Hugh Downs and Barbara Walters.
They arrive in our country on Saturday. Tonight, for the first time on American television, the Prince and Princess of Wales talk about themselves.
I actually wanted to be a dancer, but I overshot the height by a long way.
I'm not interested in the occult or dabbling in black magic or any of these kinds of things.
Together, they put rumors to rest, talk about their public image, and show themselves to be quite the parents. A 2020 exclusive, a conversation with the Prince and Princess of Wales.
And when the royal couple visit Washington, it will be a whirlwind of parties and dinners. The city's aflutter. What are the preparations for England's royal couple? What are the do's and don'ts of royal protocol? Bob Brown goes behind the scenes of royal mania.
Also, with Prince Charles being a dedicated family man, this is royalty's most eligible bachelor. He's Monaco's Prince Albert, son of the late Grace Kelly. His family talks about him, and he talks about romance and about a special tribute to his mother. Tonight, Barbara talks with Monaco's Prince Albert. They're royalty, but we have come to know them as Charles and Di. And Saturday morning, they arrive here. She has been called one of the world's most glamorous women. Someday, he will be King of England. Well, because of the enormous interest in Prince Charles and Princess Diana, and because this is her first visit to the United States, 2020 has obtained a rare and exclusive interview that they granted to British journalist Alastair Burnett.
What we know of this royal marriage is based on little fact and lots of rumors. It has been said that Diana has turned from fair maiden into a nagging wife whose shopping sprees bankrupt the royal household. And according to some British gossips, Charles has become an eccentric, preoccupied with his diet and things of the occult. Well, the truth, it seems, as they told British television, is quite another picture.
They're adorable.
They don't need interviews, just send the kids around.
Interesting to watch them. Well, next on this special edition of 2020, if you were hosting Charles and Diana, how would you get ready? Well, some Washington hosts are in a tizzy preparing for their royal guests. Bob Brown tells of royal mania right after this.
Not since the War of 1812 has Washington felt so British. The royal couple isn't going to set fire to the Capitol, but they will light up the town. Anticipation hasn't given way to panic, but it's coming close to that. The hosts of various functions are charged with overseeing every detail. I mean, should it be the pink napkins with lace, or will the white ones do? And what about that puff pastry? Will it suit royal palates? These are very serious decisions. Bob Brown looks at some of the regal do's and don'ts.
A few years before our capital city was founded, there once were some Americans who were so suspicious of royalty that they wrote into our Constitution, "No title of nobility shall be granted by the United States." So, in a country constitutionally deprived of royalty, you might place the visit of Charles and Diana in the category of foreign aid. Within the social arena that will receive the Prince and Princess, there's already been a kind of preview of things to come. These people turned out last week for a dinner for 300 at Washington's Ritz-Carlton Hotel. There, they could practice the proper etiquette with an advance guard of British nobility, owners of England's magnificent 7 stately homes.
My lords, ladies and gentlemen, dinner is served. Thank you.
Although we do attempt to speak the same language, it apparently doesn't hurt to emphasize a friendly toast with simultaneous interpretation.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and join me in a toast to the Queen. The toast is the Queen.
When Charles and Diana arrive to receive toasts to the royal family in person, the guest list of Americans who will attend those functions is limited and already full. but it doesn't discourage people from trying to get on. For instance, the Prince and Princess will attend an exhibit called The Treasure Houses of Britain here in Washington's National Gallery. Gallery director Carter Brown will also host a dinner here.
We never knew how many friends we had. We found that people were hinting in one way or another they'd like to be invited. I had a birthday recently, and I never knew how many people were interested in sending me birthday cards.
Those in Washington society who were somehow omitted from the invitation cards may find they can still manage an entree with a JCPenney credit card on November 11th. That's when the Prince and Princess will visit this suburban penny store, where they will find the employees already well-versed in protocol.
For British subjects, bowing and curtsying is normal practice. For Americans, it's entirely optional. Please do not touch the royal couple. It's considered poor etiquette and, more importantly, raises serious security concerns.
The penny chain is staging a Best of Britain sales promotion this year, and Charles and Diana will be there for the sake of trade. On November 12th, the entourage will move on to Palm Beach, Florida, one of the most affluent communities in the country, where it takes a heap of royalty to impress the guardians of the social fortress already in place.
It's maybe the event of October and the event of November. It's not the event of the year.
Princess Di this and Princess Di that. If I hear any more about Princess Di, I think I'll go out and die myself.
There's been some agitation here because the scheduled dinner at the Breakers Hotel, to be hosted by industrialist Armand Hammer, is principally to raise money for a charity that is not a local cause, the United World Colleges, of which Prince Charles is international president. And besides, according to Agnes Ash of the Palm Beach Daily News, a society paper, people who were not invited have to find other things to do.
Well, they've never been publicly miffed. But you can understand that they're miffed when they say, I'm going on a cruise, or I am going to New York that weekend, or my husband is having his gallbladder out. Something like that sort. You don't get miffed in public.
Those who do go will contribute from $10,000 to $50,000 to attend. And if there is consolation for the uninvited, it may be that the invitations themselves just weren't done with the usual Palm Beach style.
They feel that it's not socially correct, the invitation. It was a rather inexpensive printing job, and there were so many things to return. You could sign whether or not you wanted a room reservation. Well, after all, this isn't a convention. I mean, Prince Charles isn't going to walk into the Breakers wearing a convention badge. You know that.
But while social conventions are being tested by Americans preparing for the visit, things are well under control at the British Embassy in Washington, where Charles and Diana will stay for the first 4 nights.
Now, the big $64 question is, do I have écru table napkins or a peach table napkin?
Housing royalty here is predictably down to a tasteful, familiar science. No extra servants will be needed. And in case any Americans need to brush up on the most basic of all lessons in protocol, here it is from the woman who will play host to the royal couple, Lady Marjorie Wright, the wife of the British ambassador.
Well, it's a big deal that they are coming to stay in this house, and as I say, we're having our future king to stay with us. But we are geared to having visits. I mean, we've had most of the royal family stay in this house while we've been here. As I said before, you know, you do make quite sure all your doorknobs are polished, and everything that's white is white. You know the joke, when you have a royal visit, if it moves, salute it. If it doesn't, paint it white.
You know, I'm amazed at our reverence for royalty now, when an earlier America, you know, our shirt sleeves democracy of the 1800s was much more informal about it. I remember once when Granville Stewart, the cattle baron, entertained the Prince of Wales, who was to become Edward VII. He introduced him to his cowhands by saying, boys, meet the prince. Prince, this is the boys.
I think to a certain extent the way we treat royalty reflects our own times. Obviously now there's a lot of formality, a lot of pomp and circumstance in Washington. One of my favorite anecdotes was Edward VIII when he visited the United States during the Roaring '20s, and there was less media scrutiny. He apparently had the opportunity to visit a rather notorious speakeasy run by Texas Guinan, a hostess. And it was raided the night he was there, so the story goes. And Texas Guinan rushed him into the kitchen, gave him a chef's hat and a skillet, and said, here's the eggs, keep cooking till it's over.
Thank you, Bob. Barbara?
It does seem to be a different atmosphere now with people deciding whether or not to curtsy. That's a big decision. And while we are talking about royalty, who is the most eligible bachelor in Europe? We know why it's not Prince Charles, and it's not his younger brother, Prince Andrew, or Prince Edward. Well, here is his picture. If you are young, female, and single, or just curious, stay with us, and you'll find out who he is right after this.
The royal family of Monaco. Caroline and Stephanie get the headlines, but Prince Albert is the heir apparent. How do they get along? And what's life like in the royal palace? A Barbara Walters interview. Prince Albert, when 2020 continues.
The most eligible bachelor in Europe is almost unknown outside of his family, which is amazing considering that his mother was Grace Kelly and his father is Prince Rainier of Monaco. And it's more surprising because his two sisters, Princess Stephanie and Princess Caroline, seem constantly to be in the headlines. Their brother, the heir to the throne, has been in the shadows. Well, things are changing for 27-year-old Prince Albert. This week, New York Harbor greeted the first boats in the Monaco-New York Ocean Race, which was the first of its kind, and it's all Prince Albert's idea. And last Sunday, he accompanied the royal family to Los Angeles for a gala to benefit the Princess Grace Foundation. So who is this Prince Albert? Why is he such a catch? Barbara went to Monaco to find out.
Monaco, the European capital of luxury and glamour, sits on the fabulous Côte d'Azur. It is known the world over for its fashionable balls, its luxury gambling casino, a far cry from the Las Vegas Strip, and its harbor filled with the world's most spectacular yachts, its Grand Prix race, and its royal family, including the man Life magazine called Europe's most eligible bachelor, 27-year-old, shy, and hardly recognizable Prince Albert. He inherited that title when Lady Diana married the Prince of Wales and took him out of the running. Mind you, England's Prince Andrew has gotten his own share of bachelor talk, but because Albert is a direct heir to the throne and Andrew is not, Monaco wins the royal dating game. You are now 27. I have to ask you that question you must be so sick of. You know what it is?
Yes, I'm ready.
Why don't you ask it and answer it? The question is, what about marriage? Okay. The answer is?
The answer is, I don't know. The answer is you'll have to wait a few years. I don't know.
Have you ever been in love?
Yeah.
Did you want to marry the person when you were in love?
I don't think so.
Are there any do's and don'ts that are implicit because you are a prince who will rule a country?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I hope I'll be able to make my own choice and my own decision, but I can't just marry anybody off the street, of course.
Can you marry a commoner?
Well, I think so. I think other people have done it.
Your father did it?
Yes, absolutely.
His father married Grace Kelly, a Catholic girl from Philadelphia, and in a country that's largely Catholic, religious preference is still an issue. Can you marry someone not of your religion?
That's a very tricky question. I think we'll have to see. I'm sure it is possible.
Can you marry someone who's been divorced?
Probably not.
Although neither Albert nor his father, Prince Rainier, has set a date for Albert to assume power, it is Albert who will someday be the ruler of Monaco. And it is he who will reside in the 200-room royal palace. Many of the rooms, including the throne room, are open to the public for daily tours. But the royal family allowed our cameras inside some of the private areas of the palace. This is La Salle de Garde, the guard's room. It's filled with pictures of powerful family friends. There are popes, princes, and presidents. The official portrait of Princess Grace dominates La Salle de Glace. This exquisite room is often used for diplomatic functions. And it is from this room that the royal family makes its balcony appearances to the public. Should Prince Albert marry but have no male heirs, the Principality of Monaco would become incorporated with France. So when and to whom Prince Albert will marry is constant speculation for the press. It may be Monaco's biggest controversy because Monaco itself is a country without controversy. It has no foreign debt, no unemployment, no personal taxation, lots of allies, and no enemies.
We don't deal in issues that really raise international problems, and we like to keep it that way.
Do you ever feel funny in this day and age that there is a monarchy?
I think there is room for everything in our world, and monarchy, if done in the right way, works well. I don't see where there shouldn't be.
The whole country of Monaco covers only 3/4 of a square mile. That's smaller than the campus of Princeton University, the Los Angeles Airport, or the Pentagon. Does Monaco have any political influence?
I don't think we have. We've managed to gain a lot of prestige over the years, and we're very well recognized around the world, but I don't think we have the political power of a great nation, and I don't think we're seeking that right now.
That couldn't have been Mrs. Thorwald, or I don't know women.
Of course, most of the prestige and glory of Monaco is because Princess Grace had been so famous in her own right. Monaco still grieves for her. Since Princess Grace's death 2 years ago, Prince Albert has taken over her office in the palace and many of her official functions. But when Albert was born, he began a lifetime of training for the throne. Is it difficult knowing that you have no career choice? I mean, this is it.
It was very hard for me, and it's kind of hard for me to motivate myself in certain areas. I guess I'm so used to it by now that it doesn't affect me anymore. But I mean, some things are very interesting and very worthwhile. But a lot of the time, it's pretty. I don't want to say the word boring, but.
But boring. Yeah. When you were a little boy, what were your dreams? What did you want to be?
When I was very young, I wanted to be a cowboy.
After graduating from Amherst College in America, Prince Albert joined the French Navy. He worked for an advertising agency and a major New York law firm. Because he's an avid sportsman himself, his favorite official duties have to do with sports. He plays soccer and tennis. He windsurfs. He skis. He drove in the African auto race from Paris to Dakar, and he's on the International Olympic Committee. Isn't anyone in the family worried that the heir to the throne is skiing where he might break a leg and going across Africa in a racing automobile? I mean, doesn't somebody say to you, enough already?
There was some concern, and I just said, well, I'm still young to do this kind of thing, so better be now than later.
Sir.
And now he is heading a Monaco to New York sailing event, which he announced in New York at a press conference with Mayor Koch.
In exchange for what you have given us, we hope to thank and honor you in an equally grand manner. For America has given Monaco what I think is one of its greatest treasures, my mother, Princess Grace.
A tribute to his mother, to whom he bears a great resemblance. But the more recognizable members of the family are his two sisters, 28-year-old Princess Caroline and 20-year-old Princess Stephanie. Princess Caroline, how would you describe your brother?
My brother, he was always a much better little boy than I was a little girl as children. And he has all the qualities a brother could have, although I wanted to wring his neck when I was about 9, but...
We've always been very close to each other. Even when we were kids, we were always hanging around together and always getting up to mischief, I guess, sometimes.
Albert has had the difficult position of being between two girls. So he's had the shooting has come from both sides. And it's been quite difficult for him to sort of develop himself with an elder and a younger sister. But he has great patience, I think a lot of philosophy. He knows how to handle the situations. He is maybe too nice. I would reproach him. He doesn't know how to say no enough.
You know what your father said when we were talking to him? He said, if you have any fault, it's that you're too nice. Do you think that you're
tough enough?
I think I can be tough when the need arises. I just haven't had the occasion of expressing that.
Has your father given you any advice in choosing a wife?
Very little. I mean, he's trusting me that I will make that right choice.
What are you looking for? What would be the ideal woman?
I don't know if there is an ideal woman. I think one of the most important qualities that I see is to be intelligent and to have a good sense of humor. And then, well, of course, it comes beauty, but I think she'll have to be fairly strong character to withstand a lot of the pressures here.
It sounds a lot as if you're describing your mother.
Well, yeah, she was a remarkable lady, and I'm just very proud to be her son.
I teased you earlier about what your father had said and saying that if you had any faults, you were too nice. That's a lovely fault to have.
Well, thank you.
He's certainly a good-looking young man, even if he is shy. He shouldn't have any trouble, though, finding a wife.
He does not. I mean, in spite of the fact that he's shy, he has lots of beautiful women around him. I saw him at a party in New York with a marvelous-looking blonde. Wouldn't it be interesting if the next time he's in California he meets a beautiful starlet, brings it back to Monaco, and history repeats itself?
Just what his father did.
Just what his father did.
With Princess
And
Grace.
it wouldn't be the worst thing for Monaco.
Yeah, no, that's true.
He
And
is nice
later on we might be able to tell you that Monaco needs something of that kind for a reason we'll get to in a moment. We will be right back.
You know, the laws of royal succession, that is, who inherits the throne, are so interesting. As we pointed out in Monaco, if there isn't a male heir, the country goes back to France. What would have happened if Princess Grace and Prince Rainier had 3 daughters instead of Prince Albert?
Right. And we know what will happen if Prince Albert doesn't produce a male heir.
Back to France.
The
That
end
goes
of
the principality.
Right. Also, did you ever think that when a woman can be a reigning monarch, as is the case in England, her husband is not the king, he's the prince consort?
That's right.
You know?
That's right,
Where,
Prince Philip, sure.
Where a man is king, his wife is the queen. What does that mean?
I don't, somebody figured this all out a long time ago, and that's the way it stays, I guess.
That's tradition. Right. Well, right now we have a word about tonight's Nightline.
Hugh, coming up on Nightline, did Washington destroy a Soviet sailor's attempt to defect to America? With the Soviet ship still in a U.S. port, there are charges. The State Department and Immigration Service have mishandled the entire affair. Barbara?
That's Nightline, following your local news. And that's 2020 for tonight. We're in touch, so you be in touch. I'm Barbara Walters.
And I'm Hugh Downs.
And for all of us here at 2020, good night.
Tomorrow on Good Morning America, Steve Bell helps end our 10th anniversary week with a look at the major news stories over the past 10 years. Tomorrow on Good Morning America. Sunday, relive America's fantastic trip to the moon and learn about a modern-day terror, fear of computers, on Ripley's Believe It or Not. Then MacGyver treks through the jungles of South America to fight nature's deadliest phenomenon on MacGyver. Now, stay tuned for Part 4 of North and South, an ABC novel for television, next.
For a transcript of tonight's broadcast, send $3 to Journal Graphics, Box 2020, Ansonia Station, New York, New York, 10023. This has been the ABC News Magazine 2020.